Guys, please check your audio and video settings, please. Yes, boss. Switch workspace NTSP 613. Come to this one, guys. New. New. Mr. Rahul Kumar, you have to call some methods init mark, at the rate init mark. Maybe you have forgot to do those things. Setup, it's a setup issue. Okay. So E drive here, class content here, Spring 613, transaction 26th, local transaction management example, local transaction management example using annotations, 100p code and boot. 100p code and boot, guys. Right. Okay. Developing transaction local TX management example. Local TX management example using transaction management example using transaction management example using annotations, boss. Listen, guys. Okay, we need to use at the rate transactional annotation at class level to apply on all business methods. Service class level, guys, to apply on all business methods. Okay, to apply on all business methods. Yes, to apply on all business methods or on specific methods. To apply on all business methods or on specific methods, guys. Or on specific methods. Or on specific methods. Okay. Or on method level. Or on method level. Okay. To apply on specific methods. Specific methods. This is one thing, guys. Next, we need to place tx colon annotation driven tag, because to tell that I am trying to apply annotation transaction management through annotation, tx colon annotation driven tag. Okay, specifying transaction manager bean id. Transaction manager bean id. Clear, my dears? Simply literally specifying transaction manager bean ID. Super. We need to place bean ID in Spring Bean configuration file. In Spring Bean configuration file. In fact, compared to XML, working with compared to XML, working with what? Annotation is very easy, dead easy, in fact. So come to this place, boss. Close all. Same application. Let's convert into local transaction management using annotations, guys. Local transaction management 0 to NO. 0 to NO. Local transaction management. Done. 0 to NO. Local transaction management. Here is my SRC, boss. Here is my SRC. Here is my DAO. iBank DAO, boss. iBank DAO. iBank DAO IMPL. iBank DAO IMPL. Now tell me. At the rate bank DAO. At the rate repository, boss. At the rate repository. What is that? Bank DAO. At the rate repository bank DAO. Come on. Double quotes is required. Double quotes is required. Yes, boss. At the rate auto wide. No, this is not required. Yeah, this is just DAO, boss. Go to where? Persistence-beans.xml. Persistence. This is predefined as it is. This is predefined as it is. But this is not predefined. Go to namespaces, context to namespace. Come here. Context to colon component to scan base package. Context to colon component to scan base package. com.nt.dao. com.nt.dao. Is that clear, guys? Super. That is com.nt.dao. Now come to service, boss. Bank service IMPL. Tell me here. At the rate service bank service. At the rate service bank service. Come on, guys. Here is my at the rate auto wide. Here constructor is not required. Here at the rate transactional to apply transactional. See, you can apply on class level also. It is applicable at class level and method level. If you apply on class level, all business method will have same transaction propagation attributes. Same attributes. Now listen, propagation is equal to, here we are having required, propagation dot required, enum is there here. Timeout is there as usually. Next, rollback for is there. Rollback for should be configured, boss. Rollback for class name. Rollback for a class name. Illegal access exception. Illegal access exception dot class. Rollback for a class name, illegal access exception dot class. What is the problem? What is the attribute? What is the attribute? Rollback for class name, right only. It is expecting what? Array type. Array, if it is a single element, no need of keeping flower bracket, ra babu. If it is a single element, no need of keeping flower bracket. Okay, I think it is not expecting class type, it is expecting a string only, yeah? Okay, string only it is expecting a boss. Yeah, let's see. You see this? This is what array? String array. String array. String array means better to give java.lang dot java.lang dot illegal access. No, sir, I want to give dot class as class name only, not as a string. I think we have same thing. Rollback for class name is not there. Rollback for is there. There you can mention illegal access exception dot class. Everyone got it? Rollback for takes class object. Rollback for class name takes string value. See guys, on this method, transaction should be applied. Okay, having transaction attribute required, and you should roll back the transaction even for what? You should roll back the transaction even for what? Checked exception, illegal access exception. Checked exception called illegal access exception. Understanding my statement? So XML burden will be reduced like anything, boss. Yes, this is bank service, guys. Service-beans.xml, guys. Done, boss. Here, import context namespace, boss. Import context namespace, boss. Context colon component to scan. Context colon component to scan. Base package. What is the base package? Come on. Base package com.nt.service. In persistence-beans com.nt.da. That is done. Right, boss. Okay, this is done. Now I have to go for aop-beans.xml, my dear. This is predefined class as it is. Now all these hangama not required. Point cut, all these hangama not required. Just go for tx colon annotation driven. Tx colon annotation driven. Okay, guys. Annotation driven. Transaction manager is equal to the above transaction manager you have to mention. DSTXMGMR. DSTXMGMR. Is that clear, guys? Okay, one important announcement. Let me announce before I forget. That is day after tomorrow. That means Friday onwards. Friday onwards, you will be having session at 6 o'clock. Day after tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last class for design pattern students, guys. Okay, Friday onwards, it's a 6 o'clock. That's the point number one. Point number two. This Sunday, this link is same. Link is same. This Sunday, 7 a.m. Is it okay, 7 a.m., boss? Is it okay for you people to come at 7 a.m.? This Sunday, 7 a.m., you have a class. Whatever continuity is there, that class we have, I will be taking. Whatever continuation is there, Spring MVC, Spring MVC, XA, YA, whatever it is. Okay. Make it 9 o'clock. Huh? Yeah, I don't have problem to make it 9 o'clock. 9 is okay. 9 to 11 also for me, okay. I'll make it 9. I'll make it 9, boss. Okay. 9 to 9 o'clock, boss. That is for sure. Otherwise 9:30 also done. 9:30 you'll make it. Okay, Sunday na, let me give the feel of Sunday. And now onwards, next Saturday, Sunday, log4j. Next Saturday, Sunday, you'll be busy with log4j and SLF4j tool, boss. Next Saturday means June 4th and 5th. If I am not wrong, June 4th and 5th, we will be busy with what? SLF4j and log4j. We are using here and there, but officially I have not conducted that tool, guys. Okay, that tool, boss. That tool will be there. That's for cool. This is the 2 weekends plan. Okay, now onwards, until your batch completes, every Sunday, 1 hour other session will be there. Either tool session or regular class. Because now focus shifted to your batch, boss. Okay, so be mentally prepared for Sunday classes. Fine. Okay, TX colon annotation driven transaction manager, DSTX manager. That's it. DS transaction manager. Done, boss. I think a SQL prompt is there with me. SQL prompt is there with me. Select star from spring underscore TX underscore bank. Yes, 65,000, 75,000. This is the story, boss. Fine. Right. Okay. Go to client application. Nothing changes in client application, boss. What happens? What happens? Turn your developers are. What do you mean by that? Prem, I didn't understand your question. Run on Java application, boss. Yeah, SQL developer is there. Somehow I'm opening SQL prompt for 4 p.m. student. That's why. Transaction rolled back, money is not transferred. Why? Destination is not there. Destination is not there perfectly. Now 1001 and 1002, guys. 1001 and 1002, click on it. Money transferred. Just say, have a look. 60,000 and 80,000. Come on, guys. Did you observe this? Simple. Nothing great. Easy. Array, we have only the thing is you should learn that and compare to XML annotation is easy. XML we have a XML headache. TX namespace, method, attribute. Why? You should tell what is what, then you should tell their purpose. But here we are writing annotation directly on the top of code. Na, you need to tell this is the class, this is the method, because we are already there in the class and method. We are writing annotation on the top of the method. So you need not to tell this class, this method, no point cut, nothing required. Why? Because we are already writing at the rate transaction on the top of the method. I need not to write separate wordings, point cut to find out the class, to find out the method. I think you are enjoying real benefit of working with annotations. It's really simplifying the job or not? Yes, boss. Done, my dears. Pom.xml here, guys. Say paste, boss. Say paste, boss. Okay, I don't give entire code. I will go for service class, guys. Bank management service IMPL. Bank management service IMPL. bank management service IMPL. Yes, this one I want to give. At the same time, I want to highlight this. Okay, at the same time, I want to highlight this section. Okay. No, no, no. Service support. Service will provide default transaction management support. Okay. Okay. Understanding, boss. This is this. Yeah. Ravi is asking question. At the rate service will give default transaction support. No, that is not like that. That is not like that. Maybe when you go for Spring Data JPA for non-select operation transaction is required. Think in that context, but not in this context. Okay, boss. See, think in this angle. While working with Hibernate, listen. While working with Hibernate, non-select operation needs a transaction. So if you add at the rate service, so there is no need of writing at the rate transaction separately. Clear, guys? That is the angle. That is the angle. Not this one, this angle. For this one, you have to mention at the rate transactional separately. Okay, boss. Yes, you can mention at class level also. Fine. No, for this kind of transaction management, you must write ORM related non-select operation needs a transaction. So at that time, not required. At the rate service itself will take care. Right, boss. Local transaction management is done. And I would like to give AOP-beans.xml because this also I want to highlight. Okay. Here is my AOP-beans.xml. Say paste, boss. Done. This is compulsory. Nice, boss. Next. AOP-beans.xml. This is done. Okay. Next one. Developing local transaction management application. Local transaction management application using 100p code driven configuration approach. 100% code driven to configuration approach. Yes, guys. First one is same, guys. First one is same. First one is same. Copy this. Second one is, what is second one, my dear? What is second one? What is second one? Yeah. Tell me what is second one? Use at the rate enable transaction management. enable transaction management in @configuration class. @configuration class we have to write. Alternate to tx:\annotation driven class, boss. This is alternate to tx:\annotation driven. Alternate to tx:\annotation driven. Come on, boss. Alternate to tx:\annotation driven configuration. Fine, boss. That's it. Okay, same. Remaining thumb rules are as usual. I am not touching those things. Predefined classes using @bean. I'm not highlighting them. I'm not at all highlighting. I'm talking only transaction related changes. Because remaining thumb rules, I'm not touching. I'm not here to touch remaining thumb rules. Already they are there in our brain, right? Only transaction related changes I am showing, boss. Copy, paste, right? 0300p code. Local transaction management, Spring JDBC. Copy this. Local transaction management, Spring JDBC. Copy this. Super, boss. After that, what next? Remove this one, com.nt.cfgs. Right click, new package, com.nt.config. com.nt.config. DAO, bank DAO IMPL. Bank DAO IMPL. Perfect, guys. Let it be. So, but go to config, boss. In the configuration class, first persistence config. First persistence config. Next class service config. Next class AOP config. AOP config. Next one is what? AOP config. Next one is AOP config. Have a look, boss. Persistence config, guys. Okay, then lastly app config. Class, what is this app config? App config, guys. Super. Now let's go to persistence config, guys. @configuration. @configuration. Come on. Next, @component scan. Base packages. com.nt.dao. Super, boss. Public Hikari CP. Public Hikari CP data source or Hikari data source. Hikari data source. Create HK data source. HKDS or HK data source. Hikari data source HKDS is equal to, come on, Hikari data source of hkds dot set driver class name Arkil dot jdbc dot driver dot Arkil driver hkds dot set url jdbc colon Arkil colon thin colon @localhost colon 1521 colon xe. Nice. hkds dot set username system hkds dot set password manager return hkds. Yeah, if you are interested, initial pool size, all those things we can keep, not a problem. @bean name is equal to hkds. This is done, boss. Come on, all these are we studied. Don't give surprising faces. Next one, public JDBC template. That is the beauty of our learning. We study every topic in 4 angles, right? Okay, create JT. Public JDBC template, create JT. Tell me, return new JDBC template of return new JDBC template of HK data source. New JDBC template of HK data test. Super, boss. Yes, here also what is that? @bean name is equal to JT. @bean name is equal to JT. This part is over, boss. Persistence part is over. Now service class is already having annotations. Now we have to configure here. All right. Configuration, component scan, base package, com.nt.service, guys. Over. No predefined classes here to configure. You know that. Go to AOP config. AOP config. Configuration. No component scan to perform. AOP na boss. No component scan to perform. But we have to enable transaction. Enable transaction management. See this? Alternate to enable transaction management. See, alternate to this much code, alternate to this much code, alternate to this one. Clearly this one now, boss. Okay. Okay. Enable transaction management. That's mandatory. That's a mandatory. Okay, here we need to take transaction manager bean, boss, which is a predefined class. Okay. @bean name is equal to dstxmgmr. Public data source transaction manager. Created dstxmgmr. dstxmgmr. Come on, guys. Create dstxmgmr. mgmr. Okay, guys. Fine. Okay. Next one is what? mgmr. Tell me here, what is this? Data source transaction manager. dstxmgmr is equal to new data. Sorry. MGMR is equal to new data source transaction manager of, I have to pass data source object. But how to get data source object from persistence config to AOP config? You tell, then I will go next class, next topic. Data source is there in which one? Persistence config, right? That I want to get to AOP config. What should I do? What should I do? Shake wrong. Mr. Shake wrong. Yes, guys. You know, configuration class is what? Not param level, all this stuff. You know, configuration class is basically Spring Bean, boss. Agree with me? Every configuration class is basically Spring Bean. What do you say, guys? Every configuration class is basically Spring Bean. Are you getting my point, guys? Super. Now come to AOP config. Here you take data source DS and you go for @auto void. Array, we did this one in the for environment object long back. We did a not a java.sql.data source. Yes. Here is my DS, guys. Here is my DS. Return DS. Here is my DS and return DS, boss. Return, sorry, not DS. DS TXMGMR. DS TXMGMR. Did you observe that, boss? Come on. So here is my @auto void data source DS. Being named DXTXMGMR. This, guys. Are you listening? Okay. So this, if you want to use bean of one configuration class in another configuration class, since the configuration class is also some kind of Spring Bean, we can do injections on it and we can use it. Done. This is the only one headache we are having, boss. Enable transaction management. This one is the bit smaller. Super. But listen, here there is no provision to specify transaction manager. In TX colon annotation driven, there is a provision to specify transaction manager, but here there is no provision. So that's why in service class itself, you have to mention transaction manager while working with this 100% code approach and Spring Boot approach. So where is service class, guys? Here, because somewhere you have to mention transaction manager. So here, what should I do? Roll back for, that's nice, comma, okay, transaction manager is equal to DSTXMGMR. Yes, I am mentioning transaction manager here. In case of XML, TX colon annotation driven is there. There you can mention transaction manager. So that is not possible in case of enable transaction, though it is alternate to TX colon annotation driven. So that's the reason in the annotation itself, you have to mention transaction manager. This is one change. App config is another one. AOP config is having remaining stories. So remaining all things are quite guessable, boss. Come on. So app config, my dears. Yes, at the rate configuration, cool. At the rate import, cool. See, our knowledge of developing layered application is helping every time or not. At the rate import, that's another cool thing. Now tell me here, what is the story, boss? What is the story, guys? Right here, we can take array. We can take array. What is the array, boss? What is the array? Service config dot class. Service config dot class. Persistence config dot class. AOP config dot class. Service config dot class. Service config dot class. Come on, guys. Right. Done. That's it. App config is ready, boss. App config is ready. I think a cool, boss. com.nt.test. No XML today. So what is this? Annotation config. Annotation config. Application context is equal to new annotation config. Application context. What is this? App config dot class. What dot class, guys? App config dot class. Super. Bank service, iBank management service dot class. 1001, 1002, same story. I hope you are ready with application, boss. Easy or difficult? Easy or difficult? Definitely easy, not at all difficult. Okay, only one, two places, some common sense we have to use. Right. Java application, boss. First, money transferred. Let's have a look. 5585. Happy. I will give wrong source account number. Wrong source account number. Java application, boss. Exception came, transaction rolled back. Check it out. 5585 should remain as it is. That means transaction management is happening smoothly or not. Transaction management is definitely happening smoothly, boss. No doubt in that. Okay. Done this, boss. Okay. What is the code I should give? Service class code I will give, no doubt in that. Bank service IMPL. Because after all, we have to mention that. Bank service IMPL. Okay. Next one, I should highlight AOP config.java. I must highlight AOP config.java. AOP config.java. Done. AOP config.java, guys. Bank service IMPL, boss. What, guys? Bank service IMPL. Right. Okay. This is extra. This part is extra, boss. Done, boss. Enable transaction management. This is required. This is required. This also gate observation. Yes. Remaining all things are quite regular ones. Quite regular ones. Yes, boss. Now tell me, procedure to develop local transaction management application as Spring Boot application. Okay, guys, Spring Boot application. Yes, boss. First part is as it is, guys. First part is as it is. Okay. No need of @enable transaction. No need of @enable transaction. No need of placing. @enable transaction management. Next. There is no need of enabling that one, guys, because it comes through auto configuration. Auto configuration based on the, come on, guys, based on the Spring boot starter JDBC we add. Base starter we add. Guys. Starter we add. Come on, are you with me? Next, no need of placing @enable transaction management. Okay, yeah. JDBC starter gives the following Java classes as Spring Beans through auto configuration. Through what, guys? Auto configuration. Are you listening my statement, guys? Give simply through auto configuration. Simply through auto configuration. Okay, simply through auto configuration. Yes. What they are? Hikari data source. Hikari data source. Array I already discussed. JDBC template. Named parameter JDBC template. Next, data source. Transaction manager and etc. Data source, transaction manager and etc. was simply data source, transaction manager and etc. These things will come through auto configuration. Okay, only this is extra, remaining all are same, boss. Shall we convert without wasting time, boss? Yes, here we cannot say copy paste. Here what we have to use is Spring Starter project. Okay. What is this? Transaction management, MGMT. Transaction management. What is that? Pros 04. Pros 04 boot. Local TX MGMT Spring JDBC. Spring JDBC, guys. Maven jar 11 language what Java group NIT say next. Okay, say next. What is the one I have to choose? JDBC API I have to choose. Arakill driver I have to choose. Lambak API I have to choose. I think these are enough now, boss. Say next, say finish. Say next, say finish. Yes, Canvas. First go to application dot properties. First go to application dot properties. Here, what is that? Spring data source configuration. Data source config. Spring dot data source dot driver class name. Arakill driver. Spring dot data source dot URL. URL. Tell me. JDBC colon Arakill colon thin colon @localhost colon 1521 colon XC. Spring dot data source dot username system. Password manager. Password, what is that, guys? Manager. Password manager. Password manager. Super, guys. Next. O double equal to symbol. Let me remove that. This is done, guys. Okay, now I can copy paste packages from previous one. Config not required. I will tell why. com.nt.dao service. These two things. Copy this. Copy this. These two things only you have taken, paste it. Listen. Service DAO fine. Client application code we can write there. Okay, this client application code is there now. Copy this, say paste. I'll do one thing. 1 minute. I'll do one thing. Nothing to worry. I'll make this one as a client application. Interestingly, at the rate Spring Boot application. At the rate Spring Boot application number one. Here don't create IOC container, get IOC container. Here application context CTX is equal to application dot run local transaction management test dot this. Yes, boss. Over, boss. Next, some typecasting, proper typecasting, context configuration. Done. I think all done, boss. Upper, what is there in upside? Perfect. Okay, boss. We got the things, guys. Client is over. Client is over. Next, sir, why are you not taking AOP config not required? Okay, first of all, tell me persistent config not required. Why, sir? JDBC template comes through auto configuration, and this bean is recognized by configuration come client application directly because it is there as a sub package of the root package. Come on. Is there any need of persistence config, guys? Data source coming through auto configuration. JDBC template is coming auto configuration. I have injected auto JDBC template here. So no need of doing any separate what? Persistence config class. Leave it. Service config not required. Why? This is sub package of what? Root package. And at the rate component scan of at the rate Spring Boot application annotation automatically detects and recognizes it. Automatically detects and recognizes it. Come on. Not required. So now tell me, AOP config also not required. Why, sir? Data source transaction manager is coming through what? Auto configuration. What do you say, guys? Data source transaction manager is coming through auto configuration. Okay, at the rate enable transaction management not required. That also comes automatically. Then what is need of taking AOP? AOP config class, guys. Do I need it? Do I need it? See the beauty is so many code things are reduced. But only one headache is there. When you configure data source transaction manager, we will take our own bean ID. But right now, data source transaction manager is coming with what? Through auto configuration. Come on, guys. So we don't know it's bean ID. And the default bean ID is transaction manager. The default bean ID is transaction manager. We should remember and specify that. We should remember and specify that. That is only a headache we are having. Okay, guys. The default bean ID is transaction manager. T small letter, first letter, small letter. The default bean ID is this one. Okay. Here default bean ID is data source, if I am not wrong. Default bean ID. When it is coming through auto configuration, guys. Okay. Default bean ID is JDBC template. Right now, boss? Yeah. This is one thing. This is one thing. If you want, you can check with If you want, you can check by giving DSTXMGMR. You will get error. You will get error. See guys, total configuration class is gone. See, if I don't teach 100% code, guys, if I teach only Spring Boot directly, do you enjoy this much? Do you enjoy this much, boss? So now we are not writing configuration class. Why we are not writing? We have a reason. We are not writing component scan. We have a reason. I hope you are understanding. Learning all four approaches back to back definitely makes you more matured programmer, boss. Only the thing is you should not confuse which one should be used where. Right. 1001, 1002. Right click, Spring Boot application. Right click, Spring Boot application. Money transferred. 50,000, 90,000. Okay, cool. Transaction committed. 7, not there. Transaction is rolled back or not. Exception is coming, transaction rolled back. That is not important. Whether it is happening here or not. Still same 50,000, same 90,000. Right. Okay, 1 minute, guys. 1 minute. Here I will not give this default bean ID. DSTXMGMR. DSTXMGMR. I will give perfect 1001, 1002. Click on it. I think I should get exception. Yes. No such bean definition exception. So the only headache is passing default bean ID. Passing default bean ID. How did you know, sir? How did you know? Array, when you write TX colon annotation driven, transaction manager is equal to, before I type my value, it will show default value. So there I realized, oh, this is the default bean ID. And I just caught it and used it. I just caught it and used it in my style. Enjoyed, boss? Thoroughly understood, boss? Easy or not? That's what. If you have a concept, you can convert into any mode, boss. Any mode you can convert. Okay. Right, guys. Paste it. This time no configuration classes also to give, boss. So only the thing I have to give is service class. Anyhow, I have to give, no doubt in that. I'll give service class because I have to highlight default bean IDs I taken. Definitely I should highlight default bean IDs taken. Copy these guys. Paste, guys. Copy this, paste. Okay, guys. Here is transaction manager, transaction manager. Okay, default bean ID. What we have passed is default bean ID. What we are passing here is default bean ID. That's the one thing, guys. Next, I would like to give application dot properties. Application dot properties. Done, boss. I would like to give client application. Local transaction management, guys. Yeah, actually client also not required, but fine. local transaction mgmt test.java. Yes, boss. Say printer. Local transaction management test.java. Cool, boss. That is the story, nothing else. I hope you enjoyed it. Fine, boss. Now let me commit all the three projects. Team guys, share project. This finish. Git staging. When you commit multiple projects, again I have to write commit one more time. Yes, okay. Transaction management in NO 100p code and boot. In real time, 100p code is not used. Yeah, not used. Why? Because it came in wrong time. It came in wrong time, guys. After annotation and Spring Boot, much gap is not there. First 100% code came, and in 1-2 years only Spring Boot came. And Spring Boot also promises no XML. 100% code also promises no XML. But Spring Boot also gives along with no XML, I will give auto configuration. I will give embedded servers. I will give other benefits. So that's why definitely people have given more priority to Spring Boot, guys. So in industry, only two models are popular out of four models. XML plus annotation. Lot of maintenance projects are there in this XML plus maintenance. Next is Spring Boot, guys. Next is Spring Boot. All latest projects from last 5-6 years. And you don't believe now Spring Boot based projects also came into maintenance mode. Came into maintenance mode, guys. Enjoyed point? Yes. Right. Now let me share the material also. Upload file, class content. Git commands are not required. Eclipse is sufficient. Because in real time also we will work with IDE. In Biswajit, if you are showing full stack developer, no, next class is distributed transaction management. Distributed transaction management using XML plus annotations and distributed transaction management using Spring Boot. Using Spring Boot. Okay, these two examples are left. After that, Spring MVC will be launched. Mostly tomorrow, day after tomorrow, we'll be having Spring Boot, guys. Okay. When will be Spring batch after this batch? Next batch in this slot will be Spring Basic, Spring Boot, and microservice batch. Okay, on public demand, I will conduct only Spring batch also. Only Spring batch also I will conduct, but next slot, not in this slot. Maybe in 9 a.m. slot after completion of Hibernate, I may start. Okay, your like your batch. Okay, but that batch will be there once in a while. But now onwards, regular batches will be on what? Spring Basic, Spring Boot, and microservices. As you know that it's a combination of two courses. The best of two courses together given as one course. Right. Tomorrow time change is not there, Akash. Okay, day after tomorrow onwards, time change is there. Okay. Spring guys, 613 transaction. Right. Done, boss. Done, boss. Fine. Shruti Soft is a good company. Have you heard about? I heard about that company, guys. Fine. Some medium scale company, boss. See the reviews in Glassdoor. You'll get to know whether it is a good company or bad company. Okay, fine. Glassdoor reviews will be there. Now study that. Thank you, guys. We'll meet tomorrow.